Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and marvelous early mid-century R&B concert posters here. Original window card, Ivory Joe Hunter from the year of 1950 and from the Midwestern city of Indianapolis, Indiana. Boy, do you love these graphics or what? This one is just a real beauty. Of course, red and yellow are the most attractive colors to the eye anyway, which is why McDonald's and everybody else uses them. But this just pops so beautifully on this concert poster. Take a look at this. There's the venue information up top, of course, and then look at the body of that poster. Ivory Joe Hunter. It just really sings as much as Ivory Joe does. It's just really a nice, beautiful window card back then. Made to sell tickets, of course, needless to say. Now, Ivory Joe, this is 1950, as I said. He started about 1945, and through the late 50s, he produced 21 top 20 R&B hits. I think everything he charted went top 20. Most of them went top 10, but all of them went top 20, and there were 21 altogether, so he had an amazing string. But he's best known, of course, for one which came a little later in the 50s. And if you're watching this video, you probably know this song because it's Ivory Joe's biggest hit ever.
Since I met you, baby, my whole life has changed.
I hope you didn't worry that I was going to play the whole song, just a recognizable snippet. But Since I Met You Baby is just such a standard, such a classic, and that came in late 56 and early 1957 for Ivory Joe. But here we have 1950, and it's sort of a famous venue, or I should say famous among poster collectors, and that's the Sunset Terrace. I'll zoom in for a close-up here at the top. And a number of concert posters have actually come out. It must have been a stash found some time ago from the Sunset Terrace, sometimes known as the Sunset Terrace Ballroom. I have a picture of an example of one here. This is from the next year, 1951, and as you can see, it's got green venue info on the top, which is really a nice change. And it's got Lowell Fulson, the well-known blues singer, of course, and an interesting opening act on this 1951 poster. How about that, huh? Ray Charles, and you probably can't make it out, but it says sensational blind singing star. Ooh boy, that's a great poster. Yeah, I look forward to blogging that one someday, but in the meanwhile I just have the picture. But that's definitely one of my favorite Sunset Terrace concert posters. But the previous year, again, 1950 here with the beautiful Ivory Joe Hunter. It's got that venue info up the top. And interestingly, I can scarcely, barely ever, maybe never, remember an instance when I actually, even with a magnifying glass, could not make out something in the venue info because they had to get it right so people could read it and buy tickets, right? Well, there we have it right there. Under night, it's just too filled in to get the exact hours. You just can't do it. That'd be funny if you can do it over video and I couldn't do it with a magnifying glass. But it can't read the hours, but then it does, things do become, even though they're filled in, intelligible from men. There you can see as you move across it, it does say advance $1.50, at the door $1.75, and then I always love this in clubs when it's table reservations. It says make table reservations now, in all caps, in person at the Sunset Café, and then it gives a phone number. And so that's another name for the Sunset Terrace, the Sunset Café. It must have been a minor entertainment complex as much as they were back in mid-century in 1950. The Sunset, perhaps, is what people called everything for short back then. I don't know. So, yeah, so once again, though, you know, this, of course, is a tour blank, and there probably was one for September 16th and one for September 18th in different venues in the Midwest. But everything from the black line down is the part that was printed in quantity, and it's just a beautiful, just a wonderful tour blank. Look at that. I just can't get enough of that. It just sings so beautifully. And it says, obviously for Ivory Joe, it says on either side, blues singing favorite and recording star. Interestingly, no song titles. Now, these posters almost always had some kind of song title to draw people in, right? Even though he had 13 top 10 hits in just the last 5 years, 13 top teners. Of course, I'm talking R&B strictly. He never broke the national pop top 10. And so, but those 13 top 10 hits the last 5 years, most of them were on King Records. And in this year, in 1950, Ivory Joe was signed to MGM Records. And so I'm just guessing, I think it's probably a pretty good guess, MGM didn't want to like promote, you know, records on another label, right? So they just went with a generic design and waited till they had built up their own hits. And in fact, MGM actually sort of flexed their muscles on this poster And after it says "and his orchestra," you can see it says MGM Records at the bottom in red and MGM Records on either side in black. So they're really taking up a lot of real estate there to plug the label, but obviously they're very proud of their new signing in this very year of 1950. Also notice, by the way, that the bottom white border on this poster is trimmed. Us collectors, we never like to see that, so we either just roll with it or perhaps have it restored by a paper restorer. But a little more than ½ inch of that plain white border along the bottom was trimmed, and I don't know if a printer credit, such as Globe Posters or something, was trimmed with it, but that's why you see that sort of abrupt cutoff after MGM Records. And then, of course, there's the famous name, Joe Glaser Presents. Move in here on that, and what can I see? He was just the man in this era with black music. It was just awesome. I mean, he, how about just throw out a couple credits, manager of Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong. I mean, and his name's on tons of concert posters. So when you see his name on a concert poster, that's kind of a nice seal of approval. So here we have it, September 17th, just 4 days before the fall of 1950. And interestingly, after his huge streak, Ivory Joe would not experience any hits for almost 5 years after this. He'd have, I guess you could call it a slow or cold streak of 5 years. But, of course, then right after that, as you've already heard, he would hit with his biggest, most crossover hit ever, Since I Met You Baby. So, just a wonderful early R&B window card. Original, I would say 14 by 22, but we lost that ½ inch to trim, so probably about 14 by 21 in this case. And, it's looking old. It's got all the markings and everything on the back and some, print through from the previous poster and stuff. And just love this. Just love this old stuff. It's great and represents such great music. So, hope you enjoyed it too. Thanks a lot for coming by, and we'll see you next time for the next poster. Okay, bye-bye now.